Hello everybody! Today Truth Detective here. The Godfather Mario Puzo book review number 5000. I've done quite many of these book reviews. What about this book? Did I like it? Well, yeah, I kind of did. But at the same time I feel that Mario Puzo in his later career wrote better books than this. And it was 600 pages. I would say that the sweet spot for this writer would have been around 400 pages. He's kind of getting into the tedious territory over here. There's a lot of info dumping. It's not very visual. It's a bit more visual than his later books actually. He was in that sense a bit better in this one. But otherwise, his later books are better written than this. But the story and the plot is more interesting. I would say that there's too much sex in this book, just too much. And the things about the mob and the mafia, well, you don't get that kind of, hands-on feel and that kind of being in the front lines feel that you get with some other mafia books. And I would say that yeah, it's an interesting portrayal of the mob, but when you read really like non-fiction books about the mafia, it's not really like what is being talked over here. And yeah, but of course I wouldn't know for sure because I didn't live in the past and now the mob has changed. I think this is about the 1940s, but for reals, it says in the back 1940s, but he's talking also about the Prohibition era over here. And according to this guy, he says that the Prohibition ended in 1933 in America. That's probably true. And yeah, well, it's an interesting book. There's some like pretty famous dialogue from here about the mob's relationship to drugs. But we all know that the mob got heavily into drug trafficking pretty early, like 100 years ago in America when heroin came around. So the mob was related to narcotics and has always been related to narcotics in some way. He talks about the different ways that the mob is involved with, in those times at least, illegal business. So prostitution and gambling, and these were true, and these mafia families, they were involved in that. He talks about the Al Capone in Chicago, and yeah, he's kind of like tying this like fictional crime family of the Corleones to the real happenings of that timeline, which is kind of interesting. And in Italy there's actually a place called Corleone, and in the later parts over here the book takes us to Sicily, and he talks about how the mob operated in Sicily, and it's interesting. I like reading this book, and I was reading this in a couple of different ways. I actually sung some passages and some parts through this book. It's a great writer because you can sing these books. I would highly recommend you try it. And I was even doing some rapping of this book. It's pretty hilarious, but I can't share that with you because it's copyrighted. And yeah, this is starting to get pretty old. It was released 1969, and he died, was it 1998? Yeah. So that's it. But this was his third book, and I have all the book reviews from this guy coming into you, except probably the 4th because that doesn't interest me a lot. Yeah, that's The Godfather. Is it really such a great book? Well, I think it has its place, but it's not like your amazing book. It's not like your amazing book. There has been some consequences in my life because I read this that have been great. But I feel that I'm not gonna say that it's overrated. That's not true, but it's a great story. And yeah, I think it's as close as most people want to get to the mob. But I'm more interested in that. So if you are interested in the Mafia, then go ahead and check out my other books from my book list about the Mafia of the past and the Italian mob in nowadays. You're gonna learn something there. The Godfather, Mario Puzo, book review number 5000. I have reviewed a lot of books. Yeah, I love reading. I read a lot. 600 pages. It took me actually quite a long time. Almost 2 weeks to read this. And at some points I felt that this is such a slug of a book. But then it kind of gained steam again. Some people are this way that they say that writers, their best books are in the earlier parts of their career. I don't agree with that. I feel that almost every fiction writer gets better as they go along in their career. But I feel that I think like this because I'm a writer myself. I write a lot. So I understand their craft from a different point of view. I don't just look at the entertainment value or the plot. I look at, word structure and how they make their chapters, how long is each chapter, like the rhythm of the text, rhyme, and all of these things he got so much better in his later career. And I feel that his book, The Last Dawn, was amazing. I feel that it was like a life changer for me. So when I read that, I just got all of his books and now I'm reading through these, and this was the third one from the guy. Stay tuned for more. If you like this writer, tell about it, why you like him. Yeah. Thanks for watching this video. Truth Detective reviewing Godfather with the fedora. He talks about the fedora over here, or mentions the fedora quite many times, but I wonder if he wore one himself.